Welcome back to Laughing in the Dark, the podcast where I hang out in haunted places with comedians. I'm your host, Sarah Jones. This is another fixture in our Minisode series where I talk to listeners just like you and hear your own personal ghost stories. For this Minisode, I got to speak to Amy about some very unique experiences that she's had in general. Here's the call.
Hello.
Hi, is this Amy?
Yeah.
Hi, Amy. This is Sarah calling from Laughing in the Dark. How are you?
I'm well. Let me close my window real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go. Oh, there was a siren outside. I had to close my window.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good deal. All right. Well,
Okay.
Let's see. Where do you want to, should we get started? Do you want to take me from the beginning of do you have just one story or how many stories do you have?
Well, I have a lot of stories, but they're quite short.
Okay, sure.
Like I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 different things that have happened to me over the years.
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. Well, I'm ready when you are, man.
Okay. Well, the first time I ever saw a ghost, or it could have been a shadow person, I don't know. I was living in 1313 Floorwood Avenue in Torrance, California.
Perfect.
And it sounds like something out of a horror story.
Right.
It was just a simple thing. I was in my bed at night. I had left the lights on, and I woke up, and there was a shadow on the door. And the only way a shadow could be produced in the situation would be if someone was in the room between the light and the door. So it wasn't just like a person. And I started screaming for my parents because I got scared. And then right before my stepdad came in, it disappeared.
Oh.
Also, the same place had this workshop way back in the back that it was like there was tools and everything. They were all rusty and it was really creepy. And you go back there and it just felt awful. And then there was a couple of times where I heard somebody go, Amy.
This was your childhood home then?
Well, yeah, just for a few years we lived there, but it was weird, and nothing really happened again until I was an adult. And I was living in this duplex off of Holgate, and I was in the basement room. It wasn't supposed to be a bedroom. It was supposed to be like a party room, but I took it as a bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And this place had a ghost, and you could feel his presence, like when I was, touching myself or something. I could feel somebody watching me.
Ooh.
And like when we were like partying and having fun in my room, because my room was the biggest room, we could hang out in it, and I could feel him sitting in the corner, just happy that we're all having a good time dancing and laughing and getting stoned and all that kind of stuff. And it was interesting. And then one night I was playing video games. It was about 3:00 in the morning. And I felt like somebody was watching me. And I turned over. And in the doorway, there was like this sparkly blue kind of, I don't know what you would call it. And then when it startled me and I startled it. And the blue went down to like a little ball. And then it went out into the back of the house. And it was really weird. And it wasn't scary. It was just startling.
Yeah.
And then a couple years later...
Hang on. I have a couple questions. So,
okay.
So, all right. You said off of Holgate. So that's in Portland, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, as an adult in Portland, the figure in your bedroom. You said it would watch you. It
wasn't really a figure. It was just a blue, sparkly, I don't know what you call it, like a mist almost.
Okay, but you only saw that one time that it startled you, and you startled it.
Yeah.
Do you think
I could feel it.
Do you think that was the
You
same
know,
figure that was like watching you, like when you'd have intimate moments or when friends were partying in your room? Do you think that was the same thing that was watching you?
yeah.
Okay.
But not the thing from Floorwood. That happened in Torrance, and that's very far away.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. All right. I'm staying with you.
Okay.
So
So,
a couple years later.
yeah, there was this trasher house in Laurelhurst that we found out about. It was only $700 a month for a 2-bedroom house,
Wow.
just off of Laurelhurst, and we were stoked, and we moved in, and I was having a hard time sleeping, and I'd be up really late, and I'd feel like this presence, like wanting me to go. Like, you know, when you're around somebody and they don't like you and they want you to go away.
Yeah.
I seriously got that feeling from this place, and it was specific to one part of the house. And when I asked the guy that actually told us about the house to begin with, when it came up for rent, he didn't tell us that somebody had died in the house, and it was somebody had a heroin overdose in my bedroom. And
How did you find that
every
out?
night around 3, every night of how did I find out?
Yeah.
Oh, I asked well, see, we heard about this. It was like a word of mouth thing that we heard about this place. And it was the guy that told us about it, but he didn't tell us that when he told us about the house being for rent. It wasn't that. It wasn't a malicious ghost. It just didn't like me.
Yeah.
And I could tell it didn't like me. I didn't see it ever, but I could totally feel it, especially, you know, around the witching hour of 3. It was really bad. So I'd try to go to bed by 1 so I wouldn't have to deal with it.
Oh my gosh. So sorry,
it was just like sad and angry, you know, and wasn't ready to go on.
So if you did stay up until 3, what would you experience at 3?
It's just like this feeling like somebody wanted me to leave.
Okay.
You know, like, I don't know if you've ever been somewhere where people didn't like you, but like, that's what it felt like.
Definitely.
It felt like this ghost didn't like me being up, didn't want me around.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't good at getting rid of ghosts yet. I haven't figured that out until I moved here.
Were you kind of, just to like picture your experience, so around 3 a.m. you get this feeling that someone doesn't like you. What was your like emotional reaction to that? Was it like, did you feel defensive, or did you feel like hurt? Like how did you feel when?
No, I just felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, like I was, you know, intruding.
Yeah.
And then after I moved out of that house, I've lived in another apartment, and then I moved here. And this apartment, I'm just guessing, I'm not sure. There's some kind of vortex either in or around my apartment, because there's been so many incidences in my apartment that I'm living in now. There was this one time where we have these ceiling fixtures, light fixtures, and in order to take them off, you have to unscrew screws on all 4 sides. Well, there was this one time where 2 of those got dumped off the ceiling somehow, and one of them hit my daughter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was okay because it like bounced off her and then hit the ground and broke. But that was really, really weird, and I got really mad, and of course I got the sage and the banging the pots and all that, and got rid of that one. And then another time, me and my friends were sitting around getting stoned, just chilling out in the middle of the day, and my friend had a cup right next to him, and he was leaning away from it, so it's not like he accidentally knocked it or something. That thing just went flying across the room as if somebody had slapped it.
Yeah.
And we were all like, oh my God. and of course, then I started, yelling at the ghost, telling it to leave and all that. There's been what we called the tall man was here for a while. For about 2 months, you would see this very tall figure walking down the hall, and it was like a shadow, like out of the corner of your eye,
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason I know it was real is because the cat saw it too.
Like you would watch the cat's head, like following it, kind of?
Yeah. Well, what it is I'm hard of hearing.
Uh-huh.
And so I watch my cat a lot. Like if the cat like goes running to the door, oh, there's somebody knocking at the door.
Yeah.
Or, but when the cat saw it, I knew I wasn't tripping. I thought I was tripping.
Yeah.
And then I noticed the cat looking, and I was like, oh, yeah. And then I asked my boyfriend, and he said he had seen it. But he went on eventually. And then, like, the most recent thing that's happened was I was in the bathtub, and I had this plastic bottle that was on my sink top, like next to the sink. And it went flying across the room. And at this point, I just got irritated. I'm like, can't you see I'm trying to take a bath?
Yeah. You're like, leave me alone. Yeah.
Exactly. That's how I felt. I was just irritated. I wasn't even scared anymore. It's like, but since then, I guess it's been a few months and nothing's really happened since then.
So what I'm hearing is you've had multiple experiences. The only time I hear that you were really upset was when your daughter could have been hurt, and then thank God that she wasn't. But
and when I saw when I saw the shadow man or whatever on 1313 Floorwood, that scared the crap out of me.
Right, and you were younger at that time.
I was approximately 5 years old,
So
maybe
you were
4, maybe 6. Yeah, I was really little.
But do you think the fear was coming from, being a child and being scared, or do you think there was like a malevolent quality to that?
No, I don't think when I looked back on it, I didn't understand the intentions of the ghost, so I was scared. I didn't know if it was going to hurt me or not because I was a little kid. Generally, it's been my experience with ghosts can be annoying, but they generally don't hurt you. Like the dropping of the light fixture things, that's the only malicious thing that I've ever experienced.
Okay. Because it sounds like you are pretty comfortable with these hauntings in a sense. Like they startle you, but that you're not horrified.
Well, I've come to believe it's part of nature. Sometimes people get stuck or they're afraid to go on. It's just part of life.
Yeah.
It's not. If bad things were happening, if a ghost was like throwing things at me or something like that, I'd be scared and upset. But it's just most of my experiences have not been terribly frightening or even very interesting. But it happens to me a lot. I'm open to it, I think.
Now
I don't know. Other people.
You think that there's a vortex in or around your apartment?
Yeah, because I've had different like for better lack of a word, ghosts. I've had different ghosts come through here. Like I said, like the tall man was walking around my apartment for about 2 months.
You know what I think of when
finally
I think
went
of the
on
tall
or went
man?
somewhere.
I think of either Slender Man or the guy from Babadook, that like shadow.
No, it's not like that. I loved Babadook. I thought that was a great movie.
So good. But Babadook is more kind of like fantasy storybook. But I mean, that's like the first thing I think of. It's like was it a shadow figure or was it like a tall person, like an apparition?
It just looked like a tall shadow. There was no features or anything.
Okay.
And it would always be out of the corner of my eye. I'd see something move and I'd turn around and the cat's looking. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm not tripping. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had my share of run-ins with the supernatural. But it's, like I said, it's part of nature, so it doesn't really scare me that much anymore.
Yeah. So when you talk about your perception of the vortex that's around your apartment, When you say vortex, to me, it sounds like what you're saying is it's kind of like a doorway for all different types of paranormal things to come through.
Well, I don't think it's all paranormal things. I think it's just people who are afraid to go on. I don't, because it doesn't feel like there's anything like weird, unhuman coming through.
Okay.
Whatever it is definitely human.
I see. Okay. So it's not like a demonic presence. It's not like.
No.
What about?
No, I've never had any dealings with a demonic presence. One time I tried to hurt somebody with voodoo, and I got really sick for like a month. So I stay away from that dark stuff. It's no good.
Do you think that was like some kind of a karmic like boomerang, like it came back to you?
Well, yeah, I think so, because I ended up getting the mumps like a couple days after I did my so-called spell.
Oh my God!
And then
sorry to laugh.
Then after I got over the mumps, I got a what it was called. This horrible, it was like strep throat and a rash all over my body. It was really bad.
That's brutal.
So I stay away from voodoo and stuff like that. It comes back on you, and I don't know.
I feel bad laughing at it, but it's just the irony of it that it's like, oh, yeah, that didn't work. That's fascinating. You know what? I am really drawn to your story of the sparkly mist that, in my imagination, it came down into a ball when it left. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it did. It like condensed. It was like sparkly blue, and then it like condensed into a solid blue, and then went out and back through the back of the house.
Interesting.
It was just startling. I'll have to say. I mean, I wasn't scared, but I think we startled each other. Yeah. I think I startled the ghost by looking at him, and he startled me. So it was kind of funny.
So would you call that an orb, or would you not?
Yeah, it wasn't when it shrank down to it was a small orb. Yeah, it was blue.
Interesting. You know what's funny? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that of all the ghosts that I've ever encountered, that's the only one I've actually seen. Seen, except for the Shadow Man. I saw the Shadow Man, but like that's the first time I actually saw an actual, full on looked at a ghost before.
But you didn't say so. But it was like a mist, right? It wasn't like a person you were looking at.
No, it wasn't it wasn't like that. It was just like a sparkly blue kind of, I don't know what you call it. Like it's not, I would say a mist, but it wasn't wet. It was kind of like sparklies.
Interesting.
And then when I looked over and went, then he went, and yeah.
Yeah, like you can really feel the emotion. Like what I'm hearing is that you felt a startled emotion from that entity almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah. Because here's the thing. What I was going to say was it's so funny. Before I started this show, this is my third season of this show. So this has been 3 years we've been doing this. And before I started this, I'm gonna level with you. I thought orbs were bullshit, like utter and complete bullshit. Like you see photos of like, oh, these are orbs, and you're like, that's dust, that's light, that's nothing. Like I just immediately was like, that doesn't happen. But since season 1, I think I've had probably around 3 or 4 stories of people who have experienced orbs. And it's different when you, like your story, where you talk about, I physically saw it and this is what happened. To me, that's more convincing than showing a picture that has like a circle in it. You know what I mean? For some reason.
Yeah.
It's like the one time where seeing is not believing. It's like, I just want to hear what exactly happened. But it's fascinating.
These days, pictures can be doctored so easily.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, even pictures of like full on ghost apparitions. You're like, look, it's a little boy in pioneer clothing in the middle of the hallway. People are like, yeah,
I've never actually seen any ghost that had that kind of detail to it.
Yeah.
It's either been just like a shadow or, like I said, this blue kind of sparkly thing that turned into an orb.
You know, the shadow figures are really common. That is something that I hear often. I've learned that seeing an apparition of a ghost with detail is very rare. I've experienced that, actually. And I was in 3rd grade when I saw that, and that's when I was like, ghosts are real. That happens. Check, done. I believe it. It's over. And I had no idea how rare that was until I've really started to delve into it and talk to people about their experiences. But it's extremely rare to see a ghost in the almost like the traditional sense of how we talk about ghosts. You know, it seems like usually it's a shadow figure, or occasionally it's these like orb type entities. And it's interesting. Like, it makes me wonder, is it easier for them to appear as a shadow? Is that, or what is that? Is that a different type of entity? Like, we have no idea. But it's interesting to ponder.
Yeah, there's this thing called shadow people. So I don't know if that was a ghost or a shadow person or what. But yeah. There was also another time that I just remembered. I was at my friend Jackson's house, and we were in his bedroom. He was digging through his closet, and I felt a cat rub against my leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked down, and there's no cat. And I hear this purr. And then I'm like, Jackson, do you have a ghost cat? He's like, yeah.
Oh my God.
But it was like weird. It was like I heard it and I felt it. It was a little weird.
That's very
and
cool.
I've seen, like, when my cat Kuta died, he stuck around for a while too. Like, we'd be sitting there, we could just see his tail walking, across the living room or whatever. It was weird.
I was talking to...
the cats can be ghosts too.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I was talking to another Minisode caller this season about some of the stereotypes about the ghost stories or paranormal and whatever. And one of the things that people say, how people have like an easy go-to way to debunk things, but it's actually them being ignorant, like they have no idea what they're talking about. One thing I hear all the time, I mean, I have a podcast about ghosts, I have people make fun of me all the fucking time, especially because, well, I mean, I can take it. I think it's funny too. I get it. I get why it seems dumb. If you've never experienced it, I get it. But I mean, I don't know if you know about the main show. This is these calls are a part of a Minisode series in my podcast. But the main show is I go to haunted places with comedians. So I'm really asking to be made fun of. The comics, of course, are going to tease me about it. But I've kind of noticed some of the stereotypes about the paranormal. And one of them is, well, why do you never hear about a ghost animal? And I'm like, you do. It happens all the time. I've told stories about that. Or, there's another common one that it's like, well, why are all the ghosts, like 20th century or like, 1800s in like dresses and castles? Why is that always what you see? You don't. There's ghost stories of very contemporary modern ghosts all the time,
Oh yeah, the junkie ghost was a newer ghost.
Oh my God, yeah. There's so many stories of that. Or family members that have stuck around. You hear lots of those stories. And so it's funny to me, all the ways that people will quickly I don't even want to say debunk, because it's totally not debunking, but it's almost like they brush aside the idea of the paranormal with these very basic excuses, but you're like, no, it doesn't check out. There is something out there. And it's easy for someone like you or I to say, yeah, of course there is, because we've physically experienced it. It wasn't a night terror. It's not, whatever it is, you've experienced it. That something's there. But you seem like a smart girl. I'm a smart girl. I understand when people are skeptical. I respect that more than someone just outright believing everything, right? I get it.
Yeah, well, if you've never experienced it, how are you even gonna know? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, that's it's one of those things that you wanted to say, hey, I get it. I know there's a lot of kooks out there, of course.
yeah,
But most of the people that call into the show and tell their story, they're normal, sane, logical human beings that are like, hey, this happened. I don't know. Like, something's out there. I don't know what to tell you.
well, when my grandma passed, she said goodbye to me before she left, and it was funny because I was sitting in the bathtub, and I got this message from my grandma, and I thought I was making it up in my head, you know, borrowing trouble, and it turned out I got a call the next day that my grandma was dead. I was like, oh my God,
Whoa.
that was weird.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Yeah, I've heard stories like that too. That, I mean, I hadn't experienced that specifically, but I've heard stories like that too, especially with loved ones that die. There's something
Yeah.
I have experienced, and I've also learned is extremely common, where when someone very close to you dies, a lot of times you'll have a dream that's not a dream, and it is a visit from that person. And you just know.
Yeah.
There, with beyond a shadow of a doubt, you wake up, you know it wasn't a dream, you know you interacted with your loved one that died. And
Yeah.
it's funny when people tell me about it, they'll be trying to convince me that they're like, no, it sounds crazy, but I know it's not a dream. And I'll just go, oh no, I know. I've had that. I've totally had that.
Yeah.
I've had, my dad has visited me in dreams that were real. And then there's dreams I have about my dad that are just dreams. And you can just tell the difference. And it's very weird.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's awesome. You know? And I think I'm similar with you that it's to me, I feel like, well, yeah, it's just a part of nature. It's really not paranormal. We just don't really understand it yet, you know, fully.
Yeah, well, you know what they say, you know, energy cannot be created or destroyed.
That's true.
So energy has to go somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fascinating. So I'm interested to hear, what are your thoughts on, you know, you've obviously experienced all different types of paranormal, you know, or, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You've experienced this so much. Where do you think you go when you die? What happens?
Well, I have this, I don't know, I was watching this thing, what was it called? It was a Neil Gaiman show of some sort. And when the person dies, whatever they believe in is what happens to them, which I think is interesting. I believe in an afterlife, but I'm not exactly sure of the nature of the afterlife. I mean, I've heard, you know, I've read the Bible, I've, you know, heard the stories, but I kind of believe in reincarnation, just because it seems like one lifetime is not enough to learn everything your soul needs to learn.
Oh.
I feel like this existence is a school for our souls, and it teaches our souls lessons, and we learn from each other as well as from, you know, things that happen. And so, I don't know. I tend to think that reincarnation is a possibility, as well as possibly a heaven or Valhalla or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm one of those people that's like, I'll know when I see it.
Right.
You know, I don't really have any solid beliefs because I don't have enough information.
Totally.
To have a solid belief.
That's exactly what I say.
I just think that there's a strong possibility that we're reincarnated. I believe in celestial families, like people that are your family members in more than one life. I believe in that totally. If there is reincarnation, I think that's a possibility too.
Thank you so much for your call, Amy. This story had my imagination running wild. Thank you for sharing your experiences with me. If you have a great ghost story, we want to hear from you. Email us at litdarkpodcast@gmail.com. and tell us all about your ghost story. We may want to feature you on the show. As always, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time right here on Laughing in the Dark. Laughing in the Dark is brought to you in part by Heck Yeah Studio. Heck Yeah Studio is a creative effort working with people to create meaningful things. At Heck Yeah Studio, they work with clients to turn their ideas or existing brands into real or better versions. Heck Yeah Studio is the place to go for custom illustration for a full range of branding services, like killer logos, great colors and typography, and fun illustrations for pins, signs, prints, shirts, vehicles, posters, or anything you can imagine. At Heck Yeah Studio, they work with love. Their dream client is someone who is passionate about what they do. At Laughing in the Dark, Heck Yeah Studio has designed our logo, all of our merch, and any posters or stickers that we have. I am so proud and lucky to work with such an awesome company, and I could not recommend them higher.